Hi everyone. So it has been 4 whole months since I last put a video out on my channel. And that's a long time. And the longer that I have gone without putting a video out, the harder it has actually become to sit down and put a video out. So today I am just going to do like a quarterly catch up. What have I been doing? Where have I been? Blah, blah, blah. Just to really put something low pressure out there so that I have done something. And I think that by doing that, it'll get me over that hurdle of like finding it really difficult to do. So yeah, that's what I'm doing today. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about like where I've been, what I've been up to, that kind of stuff. Kind of like a monthly update, but not quite so like the way I normally do my updates is they normally have categories and I normally talk about specific things, and I'm not really going to do it like that because there isn't really, like, it's too much. 4 months worth of that would be way too much. So I'm just going to talk about some random stuff and see how we go. So yeah, so where have I been? Like, let's talk about that. So as many of you probably know, because you're in the UK or because you have seen it or heard about it from other people that you know that are in the UK, in December, around Christmas time, so for some places in the UK it was after, for where I am it was just before, we did go back into lockdown, and it was the longest lockdown. So it started in December and they started to relax the rules around the end of March sort of time, I think. So it was a really long one this time. And it was really tough. It was probably, for me, the toughest so far. I think I coped really well with the first lockdown, and you know, I've coped really well in general with COVID, and I kept busy and I was still working apart from the 2 months I had on furlough, and everything was fine and it was all ticking along nicely. And then I think for some reason this time I just really struggled. So I found that although externally I kind of felt fine and I was still going to work and I was still doing stuff, from a kind of socializing, relationship building perspective, I got really insular and really tight with my time, and I was really specific about where I was socializing with other people on like videos and Zooms and that kind of stuff, and just became very self-contained. And that had a knock-on effect in a lot of places, but one of the places it had a knock-on effect was YouTube. So I found that I just didn't really have the energy or the drive or the like excitement or the passion about making videos that I'd had right up until that point. And everything just kind of collapsed under me, I think. And not even just the making videos, but the whole thing. So I haven't really done all that much tarot related stuff in the last 4 months. I certainly haven't done anything witchcrafty or spiritual in the last 4 months. It's like everything that I loved and everything that was giving me pleasure and everything that I've always enjoyed, I couldn't connect to them and I couldn't get from them what I needed. And in fact, trying to be involved in those things and trying to continue with those things, I was actually finding very stressful and difficult, and it was making me very sad. So I just took a break, and I took a really long break, a much longer break than I anticipated. But there we are. So, and I think I think a lot of it is to do with anxiety and control, and about where you can have control and where you can't have control. And I think I just felt so out of control in so many ways because of all these decisions about our lives were being made outside of our control, that I found it very difficult to stay in control or connected to so many areas of my life. And a large proportion of my life for the last 4 months have been very work related and very that kind of area of life. So I have started my own business, in that time, I've started my own coaching business and signed up for a group coaching program as well to help me with building my own business. So I've had a real focus on that for the last few months. I've also started a degree through the Open University. So I've started a psychology degree. So that's taken up a real focus as well. And, you know, and then I work, and the person who was in my team, so I worked in a 2-person team, was made redundant in November. So I've been doing the job completely on my own. And so that has been very busy and has also taken up a huge proportion of my time. So I think everything that I've been doing has been really cerebral, like working and running a business and studying and all that kind of stuff, that when it came to doing like downtime stuff, the only energy that I really had was watching a lot of telly, which I very rarely do. It's not really my thing, but I've done a lot of TV watching in the last 4 months, listening to a lot of music, and reading. So I've been reading on average about 5 books a month as well. So that's kind of really taken up all of my time. And very little else has happened in the last 4 months. So this isn't going to be too long. This is just me waffling. I'm aware that this is just me waffling. And if you make it through this, well done. There will be better videos coming, I'm sure, once I've got this one out of the way. So, I mean, in terms of what I've been reading and watching, I can tell you a little bit about that. Reading wise, nothing's really been all that stand out. So I've read a lot and I've enjoyed a lot of what I've read, but nothing's been really like stand out. I need to tell you about this book because it's so good. The only one I can think of is the one that I finished yesterday, and that's The Poppy War, which is the beginning of a trilogy. This was a really weird book, actually. It's not a weird book, it's a good book, but I mean, it was weird for me in that I started it in January, and it took me from January until yesterday to read 50% of the book. Like, I was really struggling. Sorry if I just spat then. So yeah, it took me like nearly 4 months to get through 50% of the book. And then yesterday I read the other 50% of the book in an afternoon because it just, like, I couldn't put it down. It was really good. It's almost like, because you go into the book expecting it to be about one thing and about like one thing. I don't want to tell you what that one thing is because I don't want to give anything away, because I think you should read it. And then halfway through the book, it becomes something else. Like, the story evolves into something else. And I actually found the second half of the book much better than the first half of the book. It did make me cry, but I cry at everything, so don't take too much from that. And it was just really good. It was also quite graphic, like violent graphic towards the end. You don't see anything, but things are described after the fact, and they're quite brutal, and I found that really difficult, and I did have to put it down a couple of times yesterday through those bits just to like catch my breath kind of thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to read the other two. Yeah, I don't really want to say much more about it than that, because I think it's one that you should definitely pick up and read. Other than that, there wasn't anything that I've read, like I say, that's really stood out for me. I've done like a really nice mix of fiction and non-fiction, and there's some fiction that I've really liked, there's some non-fiction that I've really liked, but there's also like stuff that I've rated like 1 or 2 stars on Goodreads as well. So I haven't really sat down and gone through what I've read. I could do that if people want a video to know more about what I've read. Let me know. I can definitely do that, but I wasn't sure if people would care all that much, to be honest. And then TV watching, like I said, I've watched a lot. I have watched a lot over the last few months. I finally caught up with Schitt's Creek, so I'm like the last person in the world to ever jump on anything, but it's on Netflix. All of my TV watching is on Netflix or Amazon Prime because that's all I have. So I jumped on that and this year and finished that and really loved it. I loved it a lot more than I thought I would, actually. I really enjoyed it. And then another program, so I've kind of really got into Korean dramas at the moment, but I'm not really a romance type person. So the kind of K-dramas that I really like have been based on webtoons and are quite violent and horror and that kind of stuff. And I recently just finished watching one on Netflix called Sweet Home, which is really good. And it's about people start to become monsters, and the monsters that they become are based on their inner desires. And it's just, it focuses on a group of people who live in an apartment block and are stuck in this apartment block. One of them is a monster, but hasn't fully turned. And it's just, it was so good. It was so good. Again, it was quite brutal in places. It was quite dark. It was just, but it was amazing. I cried a lot. I did. There was like 2 or 3 episodes at the end, or I think I cried almost all the way through each episode. So again, I cry really easily, so don't necessarily take that as it's really sad. I thought it was really sad, but you might not think that if you get around to watching it. But yeah, I really enjoyed that, so I'm really hoping we get a season 2 of that. And I watched the film Parasite as well, finally, which I also loved. I think I watched the second half of that film with my mouth open because I knew nothing about it. And I'm not going to tell you anything about it because if you haven't seen it, I think it's one of those films where you really need to go into it almost blind to really appreciate it. But so the first half of the film's bimbling along nicely, and you can see that it's a satire about society and class within society and that kind of thing, and it's all lovely. And then it just like shit changes so much in the second half of that film, and you're just, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing the direction that film goes in. I genuinely wasn't expecting it. I loved every minute of it. It was really good. It was really good. So definitely, if you haven't, you should check that out. If you like subtitles, I know some people can't handle subtitles. My dad wears hearing aids, so when I'm at my parents', we watch everything with subtitles on, and they just don't bother me. I'm really not bothered by them at all. So I find those kind of things really easy to watch. But I feel like I'm just waffling. You know what? I feel like I'm just genuinely waffling about nothing, with no direction, really just to say hey. And I'm going to try and get back on YouTube a bit more if people are like still interested. I don't really know yet what I've got coming up or what I'm going to be doing or what I'm going to be talking about. I haven't really got that far. This was just, like I said, I need to sit down and I need to get something on YouTube. Otherwise I'm never ever going to do it again. And that's kind of what I've done. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there because I am just waffling, and I will come back with some better content very shortly. So thank you very much for watching this if you did, and I'll see you all soon. Lots of love. Bye bye.